What's up, everybody? I'm blessed and free. Welcome back to another episode of DOCTV. So this is a topic that has really affected me. 2020 has been a crazy year. I've lost so many of my friends. They were people that you would never expect to die from an overdose. I think people still have this misconception that a drug addict is the guy that lives under a bridge and just can't stop drinking. But drugs don't discriminate. It can literally be anyone that becomes addicted. Honestly, the most talented people I've met were addicts. When those people aren't in active addiction, you would never guess in a million years that they had a drug problem. Most addicts are good people at heart and love like no other. But they have a disease that wants to take all that from them. And it also wants to take their life. Now, whether you believe it's a disease or not, one thing's for certain. No one wakes up one day and says, fuck it, I want to lose everything I've worked hard for, get arrested, or OD. A good friend told me a long time ago, don't try to explain addiction to a normal person because they will never understand. Which is so true, because when you do, all they say is, well, if you're getting arrested and you're spending all your money, then just stop. Man, if it was only that easy. My experience is drugs numb feelings, ambition, and it digs claws into you where the only thing that matters is your next high. It destroys homes and families, and you become lonely, broken, and hopeless. And that's exactly where the disease of addiction wants you. So, back in early 2000, I had a best friend named Joe. We went to school together, and when we finally hit high school, we got this bright idea to start selling weed. We started skipping school every day and hustling. When we heard word on the streets was we could go to a doctor and pay him $500, and he would write 3 scripts of 100 pills each. At this point, the only pill we knew about was Xanax. Everyone used to pop them in high school, then get in a fight and get suspended. But people were starting to take painkillers, and every time we went to sell someone weed, the buyer would always ask us if we could get pain pills. So when we went to the doctor, that's what we got. Soon though, Joe would start popping them left and right. I never really liked them because they made me nauseous. One day when we went to the doctor, he wrote us a script for Oxycontin. We didn't really know the difference between an Oxycontin compared to, say, a Vicodin. But we soon found out. After we got the scripts, we decided to get a hotel at Clearwater Beach and throw a hotel party. We both were friends with this other kid, Justin, who lived 2 streets away from Joe in Holiday, Florida. We sold weed and pills all day to get the money up for the party. Then, later that evening, when we got to the hotel, we started calling everyone we knew to tell them about the party. That day, we went and filled the scripts at the pharmacy. Joe and Justin had popped an Oxycontin, and later that night at the party, they were saying how the pill sucked because they weren't feeling anything. So they each popped a couple more. I started to notice that they were getting really fucked up. The party was crazy. We had like 40 people in the hotel, and we ended up destroying the hotel room. They finally called the cops, and they kicked us out. At this point, it was 2 a.m. and I was driving Joe and Justin home. We were all still living at our parents' house, and Joe and Justin were faded, barely able to speak, and basically just slept the whole car ride home. I dropped Justin off at his house and then took Joe home. After that, I went home. I woke up at like 2 p.m. the next day, got up, got dressed, and drove back over to Joe's so we could start weighing out the weed to sell for the day. When I pulled into his neighborhood, I noticed an ambulance flying down the road with its lights on, leaving the neighborhood. When I finally pulled down the street in front of his house, there was another ambulance and his mom was standing out front crying. Real quick, Joe and Justin had popped pain pills before, but those pain pills were not time release like Oxycontin is. So that night at the party, when they popped the Oxycontin and didn't feel anything, they just kept taking more. They weren't feeling them because Oxycontin has a coating around them to slowly release into your system. When Joe and Justin went to sleep that night, they never woke up. Both of their moms found them dead. The Oxycontin time release coating finally wore off and hit them all at once. When I finally pulled up to Joe's house, I didn't even know what to say to his mom. I was in shock. I'm almost positive she was too. I don't think it really hit me yet, but I knew this wasn't a dream. Joe was like my best friend. We did everything together. Things we would never be able to do again. I loved that kid like he was my brother. The days after all this happened were like a blur to me. I was smoking so much weed to try to numb myself to not feel the heartache and brokenness I felt from losing my friends. Joe and Justin were bright kids and could have done anything with their life. I don't know what it was with us and why we chose to go down that path to be drug dealers. There was this excitement to the chaos and danger that came with it, and I think that's what we got a rush off of. The money was another big component to it too. Never thinking one or two of us would end up dead. We would never be able to ride in the car and bump Tupac and listen to Hit 'Em Up and see who could get more girls. Living young, but we were living dumb. Memories don't fade, and I know I will see them someday. So after this situation, I would end up popping pain pills and go down a road of destruction myself. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have a crazy story like this, or at least something close. Back then, addiction wasn't talked about as much as it is today. That era was the beginning of the opiate Florida pill mills. As time would go on, it just got worse and worse. I honestly don't even think back then that I had a problem. Fast forward 10 years, and I would come to realize I had a major problem. I was in denial or just made excuses for the way I was living. I think a lot of people do the same thing. It's hard for somebody to fully grasp the addiction when you're in it. It's the consequences that happen over time that really make you see that. You're just so deep in it. It's so hard to get out. If you're young and watching this and are going through the same things, save your life now before it's too late. Get involved with recovery. Get yourself around people that suffer from the same thing that you do. You only get one life. There is no do-overs. So live it to the fullest and stay away from drugs. Rest in peace to all the people that have died from an overdose. Prayers for the people still suffering from active addiction. And with that, it's DOCTV. I'm out.